Hello, welcome to Model Kit Stuff. My name is Jason and this is Table Talk. Hello everyone, welcome to the bench. Model Kit Stuff coming at you on a Saturday with your usual Table Talk update. So first things first, a big welcome to the channel. If you're a new subscriber, then a big warm welcome. You're bound to find something on the channel. What you want to do when you've watched this video is go and check out the main page. And you can scroll down through there and you can find all sorts of stuff. It'll make some recommendations for you based on the sort of stuff you tend to watch. You can go to videos, you can go to popular videos, so you can go to shorts, and then you can go to playlists. So we've got ships, tools, products and tips, aircraft, vehicles, Wood Wednesday, and then there's other bits and pieces as well, which include things like book reviews and what have you, updates, meet the creator, all of that sort of stuff. So we're in November, we'll be 5 years old. So there's 5 years worth of videos, and we've put out on average 4 videos a week, every week over those years. So lots and lots of content, and as one of my subscribers said to me this week, I probably put more content out than 2 or 3 other channels do put together. And it's just the way I work, and that's because I really enjoy doing it. So a big welcome to you. If you're an established, long in the tooth subscriber, a big welcome to you as well. And if you're a member, a big hello. So here we are, some bits and pieces happening this week as always. You can see I'm working on the Lady Eleanor here. I think probably the biggest thing that's happened this week is I've finally had a big cull of the stash. I've talked about it on and off for a while, and we have reduced the stash. We've done a couple of sort of sales through the channel, and I've done a splurge of stuff on eBay, but I don't want to use eBay anymore. This withholding your money until the buyer has chosen to say, yeah, you can pay him. Sorry, that's not happening. I'm not sending out model kits that are worth £80, £100, whatever they are, or even £20 for that matter, and then, you know, not knowing whether I'll get my money, even though I no longer have the goods. No, that's not how this works. So I'll buy off eBay, obviously, but I'm not going to sell on eBay. So there is a Facebook page called Veteranous Models. I think I'm getting that right. And they will buy kits and then they auction them. And so I decided to do that. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So in here we've got model kits. This is not stash ads. This is the opposite. This is getting rid of stash. So I've been meaning to do this for a while, and probably having a bit of a plastic mojo problem at the moment is helping me, because in here is 75 model kits that I'm all about to be sold. So yeah, that is me being quite hard on myself. That's a bit more than half of my stash going. So I've thinned down my stash over the years, over the last couple of years a little bit, but this is significant. It's mostly aircraft and vehicles. There are a small number of ships in here, but I've run out of boxes, and I am going to tackle ships separately. None of these boxes were really long enough to get my ships in, so I need to find another solution for that. But yeah, we significantly reduced the stash. So reducing the stash by half, and I've got more to go. And not having had the real plastic mojo felt like a good time to do it. But actually, it was dictated a little bit by the fact that I contacted them. They sent me some boxes. I requested some boxes, so they've delivered some boxes to me. I asked for 4, they sent me 6. I'm sending them back 11. So I did have some boxes that I'd collected. The problem is none of the boxes are the right diameter for some of my ships. So we will be getting rid of some of the plastic ships. For example, I've got the Hipper, the Blucher, the Eugen. I don't need all 3. I've got every aftermarket conceivable for the Prince Eugen. So we'll keep that and get rid of the other 2. For example, the big 1200 Yamato's going. How I'm going to box that up, I have no idea, but it needs to go. And then I really should have kept the original shipper for that. There was a time when I was looking to get it over to the model ship to Gaahleri, but the cost of shipping to Canada was just prohibitive because of the size of the box, more than the weight. It was just absolutely gonna cost me a ridiculous amount of money. So anyway, that became dead in the water. So we're gonna sell it. I'm never gonna build it. It's not a nice enough kit. And I'm not as interested in the Yamato as a subject as I am in some of my other 1200 kits that I am keeping, like the Bismarck and the Hood. That's going to be a nice little build series when we do that, because we will do them back to back. Probably do the Hood first and then the Bismarck. And I've got multiple upgrade sets for both of those kits, so yeah, lots and lots of options there. So that'll be nice. So we've got those and we're going to keep those. I've got 1 or 2 kits that are started, and so anything that's started, that's not going to go. So I've got a 1350 Ark Royal, the Merit one, before it became I Love Kits, when it was first released, and I've got a Flyhawk update set for that. So I've built up a couple of cranes and put one of the little decks in, so that can't go anywhere, for example. Not that I'd want to get rid of that one particularly. And then, I mean, you've seen the first impressions I've done over a lot of those ships. It's, being tough on yourself. So I have got rid of, I think it's 4 kits this time. One of them was the 1918 Dreadnought. I've changed my mind on it, and I think if I want to build Dreadnought, I'd build it as launched, rather than later in life. But as Paula knows, and Paula, she was helping me box all this lot up, get it out of the attic and what have you. She said, "Not many ships in here, is there?" I said, "Well, no, the boxes aren't the right size." And she said, "No, and also ships are much harder to part company with." So she understands. She knows where my head is when it comes to these model kits. So lots of vehicles and lots of aircraft, and therefore lots of airfix stuff. And that comes out of the fact that airfix kits are generally fairly cheap and accessible. So you'll find a number of YouTube channels focus quite heavily on airfix, and that is really the reason, because it's it's easy to get subject matter fairly cheaply for the channel. Anyway, I've just got to let them know that they're ready to be collected. I've taped them up and the tape's peeling off, so I've got some tape that's not very good, so I need to go and get some duct tape or something and make sure they're nicely taped up before I ask them to collect. But they will probably be gone by the time you're watching this. So I'm recording this early this week. It's only Tuesday, but yeah, they'll be gone, and that's created a load of space in the attic, so I can start reorganising the attic properly, which I've been sort of dabbling with over the last couple of years. So yeah. Anyway, all good. It still leaves me with plenty. I've got over 70 kits in the stash, and I can't remember. Someone was saying that that 100 should be the limit of a stash. I don't know. It depends on the kits, really, doesn't it? Because having 100 172 fighter aircraft kits is very different to having 100 164 wooden ships. It really does. It really does depend what you've got in your stash, and I've got some big wooden ships in there. And Paula asked if I was getting rid of some of those, and yes, I got rid of 2. I got rid of Billingsboat Viking longboat. Why do I need that when I've got that lovely Pavel Nikita one? And also a Victorian riverboat, which I think it's Constructo, and it's not amazing, so let's get rid of it, because it's one of those kits that you look at and you dodge because there's always something better to do, so you might as well not have it. So I have tried to be hard on myself. Again, in the wooden kits I've got some that are started, and some of those I didn't start. So I got the bomb vessel Grinaldo off YouTube, and someone had started it and messed it up, but I know how to correct it, so I'm quite happy to have that. So some of the first planking of the hull hasn't been done, but the second planking's been started. So they've put the templates in and then started doing the second planking on that before they've done the first planking. But yeah, I mean, all stuff we can sort. So there's lots of stuff there. I got rid of a tram, so the Ockery Berlin tram is gone, but I've still got the London tram because I've started it. So there's all sorts of stuff in there. I got rid of some of my sci-fi. Some of that was a bit difficult to get rid of, but Star Wars B-Wing we got rid of, and the is it, I want to say Firefly, but from Thunderbirds, which we did a review of 2-3 years ago. I don't have time to get to it, so let's just get rid of it. And if I feel like building it one day, you can always buy it again. So yeah, I got rid of some donkeys as well. So some kits that we've reviewed, and then I've gone, you know what, I'm never going to build that. Like that Hobby Boss, that big Hobby Boss aircraft that I bought from the model show at Telford 2 years ago. That's in there to go. So quite a bit of getting rid of the junk, and then getting rid of some kits that I mean, there were some kits that I was like, yeah, but yeah, and I had to sort of force myself. So it's done. It's boxed up. I've got a full list of what needs to be removed from the stash once they're sold. So all good. A good thing to do, but a hard thing to do. Right then, let's crack on with what we got up to last week. So we started Monday off with that kit review, Dora wings. I think they're called a Randy. I'm not 100% sure, so I didn't put it in the title because I wasn't 100% sure. But yeah, not a bad little kit. I've not built a Dora wings kit. I've first impressioned several, but I haven't built any yet, so I need to build one at some point, and I know exactly what that'll be. That'll be the Fairy Delta 2. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to building that at some point. So we did that. That was a nice little kit, and it did not bad actually as a video. Then Wednesday, tomorrow in my current timeline, you'll be having Sherborne 25. So more rigging. I think it's shrouds and dead eyes on that one, but you'll know because you'll have seen it. And then Scharnhorst 25 on the Friday. So so you should have had that yesterday. So that was one of the videos I pre-edited on holiday, so it just needs splicing up with titles and things. So I haven't done that as we record this, but it's a quick job. And then that gets you back to Table Talk. So that's sort of what happened last week. It's a bit of a funny week because Paula last week had her last day at work. So she finished on the Wednesday. Her start date for a new job is the 1st of July. So she's got 2.5 weeks where she's on the unemployment actually. She keeps telling everyone she's a kept woman. Yeah, only for 2.5 weeks though. So everyone's in the house because Daisy has finished college, and as I record this today, she's going into on her first day at a new job. So it's 0 hours. So how that works is she sees all the shifts and picks and chooses which ones she wants to do. So she works the number of hours that she wants. But she's got to go in and do some induction days and bits and pieces. So she's starting with that today as I record this. So that's a big change for Daisy. You know, she's paying her own way in the world. So we had the conversation about how much her rent is going to be to live here. And what I've not told her, she won't watch this, so it's okay. She's going to pay me rent. I'm going to keep it all together in a little bank, and then we'll give it to her after, say, 12 months, so she can pay for her car insurance or something. So we'll just use it as a savings pot. But yeah, she needs to understand that there's outgoings and what have you, and she has certain jobs around the house, certain tasks that she's responsible for. She's responsible for doing all the recycling, for example, so she takes it out of the pantry behind there and goes and puts it in the recycling bins and things. Little jobs, but it's just giving them a bit of an understanding that you don't have butlers and stuff in real life. So yeah, lots of change this week, but it means that they're both in the house, so quite busy in the house. Yeah, so, and my youngest daughter Alice, she had her birthday at the start of the month, but she's just gone away with her mum for her birthday trip. So she's been to Alton Towers. She likes all those rides and things. Not my cup of tea. So yeah, that's sort of what's been going on this week. Lots of sort of bits and pieces. We've been out for some nice walks and taken in some gardens. The weather's been pretty good. So yeah, life's just sort of ticking over. Except for my leg. I don't know what I've done. I've been to see a physio, but I'm having a lot of pain. I don't know whether it's sciatica, maybe, in my right leg, or the physio thinks I might have stretched a tendon and it's become swollen, but the top of my leg and round my hip is quite uncomfortable, so I have to get up and move around a little bit. So that's another thing that's been coming together this well. I actually started just before we went on holiday, and I forgot about it on holiday because it went away, and then it came back after the holiday. So it's to do with not moving around as much. yeah, so the physio did prescribe me constant holiday, which I liked the idea of, but when I came to look at it, couldn't afford to do it. There you go. So anyway, that was what happened last week. So what have we got up to on the bench during last week? Well, you can see we're on with the lady, and you just saw me putting a plank on this side. Now I'm doing planking in two different ways on this. So you can see we're on second planking here, and I'm doing it my way on this side. This is sort of the off-camera side, and what we're basically doing is I'm cutting the plank in the middle, fitting it at one end, gluing it in, fitting it at that end, making sure it's a tight fit, gluing it in, and that's what you just saw me doing as you came on. On this side though, we're doing it differently, and I don't know if we improve the light whether you can see that. So the planks have been cut to a scale length of 120 millimeters, and we're using the planking fan on this side as well. So we're tapering pretty much from the second plank down, and we're using a 3-shift pattern. So that means that it's a bit like bricks, and you can see how you can see the joints. So we're highlighting the joints. We're doing a little something, I'll explain in the video if you watch it. We're doing something so that when you've sanded it, you can see the planks, and then all we've got to do is add some bolt detail. And my intention is that I'm going to do that down to the sort of the waterline mark, so that if you want to leave your model in the natural wood and just varnish it, you can do that. And then we'll do something slightly different below the waterline. But yeah, I mean, that's the idea. It's much slower to do it that way, which is why I'm only doing one half of the hull that way, so that I can show you, but also I can get on with it as well, because, you know, time is an issue when you're doing things on a channel. So that was one of the things that we've got on with. We've got on with the Sherborne. I will be doing some Scharnhorst later in the week as well, so I'll be able to show you that next week, I think. But that's not the only thing we've been working on. So let me show you where we've got to with the Junkers. You might need your sunglasses for this. Here she is. Yeah, really, really bright. So this is ICM yellow acrylic, 2 coats with the airbrush. So by the time I'd been round and airbrushed it once, I went round and airbrushed it again. So that's next job on this is to just seal it. But it's gone down really well, looks fabulous. So we can seal that, and then we're ready to mask it off and do the black. There's a lot more black on here than there is yellow. So the nose, all of the underside is black, and then you've got the leading edges of the wings, the tails and what have you. We've got a stripe down the back, we've got a curve to put in, and paint it on corrugation, and everyone's looking forward to it. But yeah, so far so good, other than when I was doing the masking of this window, I managed to pop the window in, so the window's over there, and I just shoved some sponge in for now, so we could crack on with getting things painted. But yeah, as always, the ICM paint has performed really, really well, so happy with that. Yeah, so that's where we've got to with that. I'm going to be clear coating this later today, so that we can, and then I'll give it a couple of days, and then we'll mask it off, ready for getting the black down. So all progressing really nicely. The most difficult thing here is doing the shape of the masking. Let me show you what we've got to do. This is what we've got to do. So look at that. Yeah, and then you can see the curve around here That is going to be interesting. So yeah, that was what we got up to on the bench, and I continue to struggle with my plastic mojo. Yeah, I really feel like I need to start something else, but I don't want to. I've got 3 builds on the go at the moment. I don't want any more than that. So yeah, we're gonna push on with this, and then hopefully that Panzer one will be the new plastic that I need to spark the imagination. So yeah, very happy with how all of this has gone. Well, actually, I say that I've had lots of issues with this kit. There's lots of issues. It's all minor stuff, but I'm just feeling quite negative about the kit and the build, you know. So I don't know whether that's making me feel a bit negative about plastic generally, or what. But yeah, there we go. That was what happened on the bench. So coming up next week, we've got first impressions of a 3D printed kit. You're gonna love it. Then on the Wednesday, we've got part 26 of Sherborne, which I've not edited that yet, but I suspect will be rat lines. And then I think I have one, two. I have a few things to do after rat lines, but not a lot. So we've got to be 2, 3 videos at most away from finishing, including that one. And then on the Friday we'll have part 5 of the Junkers, which is edited, again on holiday, so I've just got to put the titles in, and that's ready to go as well. And then that's all my pre-edited holiday stuff got through, and I'm back to having to find editing time, and that's when we might see things slipping off. So as I look at my to-do list now, I can see that the week commencing Sunday the 29th, I've got nothing in there. The only thing I've got listed is the table talk. So I've got a list of stuff here. You can probably see red and blue. Blue stuff is stuff that's been recorded but hasn't been edited. Red stuff is stuff that is yet to be recorded. Although some of these I can change because I've already edited Lady Eleanor Part 1, and I know I've got enough material for Lady Eleanor Part 2 at least. But then there's things like the Victory Models, Lady Nelson wooden kit, first impressions, not recorded that yet, and what have you. And then there's other stuff on here like the Titanic that we saw last week, that's not on there, and I've recorded the first impressions of that now, so we can probably put Titanic in there. So I've got a little bit of catching up with myself to do, but the main thing is not to put myself under pressure and just get those videos out to you as I can. I've also completed a build, quite a different build in the background, and that's all recorded, and all I've got to do now is edit those videos. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to release a build video every day until it's done, until the whole series is done. They vary in length, probably averaging about half an hour, and it's around about 44 episodes. So you'll have a month of this every single day. So even on the days when there's a video out, you'll get one of those as well. And I probably put them out in the evening, because other than a Friday, I don't put anything out in evenings. It's always 8 AM my time. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see what that happens, but I've got to find time to edit it all yet. So once we've done that, we can chuck it out. My plan is to actually edit it on my laptop, and rather than using my big expensive editing software, just use the free iMovie, and then I can sit and watch the TV and edit those in that case. So that's sort of the plan. yeah, so that's what's coming up and where we're up to with that. So in terms of stash ads, there's nothing that I've got to show you, but we have ordered some little bits and pieces. So I've ordered some improved benches, which also comes with deck chairs for the Titanic. I've ordered, I'm trying to remember what I have ordered now. I've ordered, there was something else. Oh, I've ordered a lighting set for the Titanic as well. So that'll be interesting because I don't really do lighting, and I've been toying with the idea of doing lighting. As you know, I bought a lighting set. Where is it? Oh yeah, I got that as well. I bought a lighting set that I'm thinking of using when we come to do the surprise. Yeah, so I've got some bits and pieces. I can't remember, I might have ordered 3D printed cranes for the Titanic as well. I certainly found them on Plastic Monkey. I think they come from the States and they'll take a little bit of time. So yeah, one or two little bits and pieces that we've ordered, but I've not got any of those. I did, however, get this, and we will do a little. Don't know, is it a tool or a product? I'm never dead sure with things like this. But this is a new dust mask, so this won't do for my spray painting. The filter's not suitable for those size of particles, but it's great when I'm sanding this, and it's a lot lighter than my big painting respirator. And I did a little bit of research, and this was coming up as one of the best ones on the market, and I love it. It's got a built-in fit test ability, so you can fit test it every time you put it on. So that's an improvement on using the paper dust masks, disposable ones that I was using. So yeah, and you can get refills. I bought a couple of sets of refills for it, so I'm set up for some time with this. But we'll do once I've been using it for a little while, and I have been using it when I was doing some sanding. We'll get a full review of what this is like. But so far, I'm very, very impressed with it. So this week I thought we'd have a little conversation about dream models. Last week we talked about aftermarket and whether that's making modelers negative, and I certainly think it's made me more negative, and I'm trying to be mindful of that now going forward. But I had an interesting conversation, or Paula had an interesting conversation with me, which made me think about this. So after I'd filmed the first impressions of the Titanic, Paula said to me, "What did you think of it?" So I was telling her what I thought. I'm not going to give you any spoilers. I was telling her what I thought, and then she followed that with, "So are you going to build it?" So I said, "Well, let me show you this." So I took in there is a full scale 1/250 plan of the model. So you get two sides and a top view, so you know where everything gets placed and what everything should look like. So I showed her that, got her to hold one end, and I walked across the room unraveling this thing, and I said, "This is how big the finished model will actually be. It's not small." So even in 1/250, it's not small. And she said, "But are you going to build it?" And I said, "Oh yeah, this is one of my dream models. I've always wanted a decent Titanic, and I have built a Titanic before, but there isn't ever really been a good one. So this one I definitely want to build." And she said, "Well, if this is one of your dream models, then build it sooner rather than later, because you're starting to get older, and you don't want to be in a position where you didn't build it because you built other things, and then you've got arthritis and you can't do it, or your eyesight's gone and you can't do it. So if it's a dream model, build it sooner rather than later. And that got me thinking, what are my must-build models before I go? What are my dream models? Now, I'm not talking here about the dream model that I wish they'd create. I have 2 or 3 of those probably. If someone turned around to me and said, right, we're going to design a new model kit and you're going to pick it, what is it going to be? Then I would say to them, I want a 1/200 scale A-class destroyer, either HMS Anthony or HMS Acute, I think it is. I can't remember, but basically they're twins. They were built side by side in the same builder's yard. So there's several A-class destroyers built from that run. There's 30 of them, but they're all built at different shipyards, so they all have slight differences. So as anyone who's been subscribed to this channel for some time knows, HMS Anthony was my grandfather's favourite ship that he served on, and the one that he was on during the sinking of the Horde, the Bismarck, Dunkirk, Spitsbergen, Atlantic convoys, Arctic convoys, even Mediterranean, and it was his favourite ship. So he was on it before the war, and then up to just nearly the end of 1942. So really busy period for the Navy, and so I'd really like to build a model of that. Now I have built a model of HMS Anthony on this channel. It was tiny, 1/700. It wasn't very good. It wasn't very accurate. The model company said you could build two models out of it, 2 sisters, and they got that wrong. So it was just error after error after error. A Polish company. It was great that they'd done an A-class destroyer, but it wasn't fun. But we did it, and we did it in a little seascape, and it came out really, really well. But it wasn't fun to build. And that's when I decided 1/700 is a scale I can't tackle anymore. It's just too small for me now. So that would be, if someone said to me, what's your dream model? We'll design it for you so you can have it. That is absolutely what it would be. If someone said, give us a list of models you'd want, then that would still be my first one. But we absolutely, as a model building community, are desperate for an HMS Warrior. We're absolutely desperate. Building Boats have done it, and they've done it a real disservice. It lacks so much detail, and some of the fittings are so poorly done. The highlight is the brass figurehead, and from there it all goes downhill. And it was a really expensive kit. It was £1,000 when I bought that kit, and it's so disappointing. And I did start it. I was going to do the hull only. This is when I was modelling up in the attic, way before I had a channel. But yeah, I went round the Warrior taking photographs in detail, and at every single stage, every little visible item needs work. So from detail completely missing to detail simplified all over it, just really disappointing. So we desperately need a really, really good model of that, and then there's other ships that we really need some decent, up-to-date, modern standard models on. There's models that I would like as well, and that's really what I wanted to talk about today. If I was told, look, you've got 10 years to build these models, what are the 10 models you're going to build? that gets you thinking, doesn't it? So if I think about what I've got now and what I really want to build, I've got the Indefatigable. That's an absolute essential to build, which I'm working my way up for by doing the Absolute Beginners series, and then we're going to do Surprise and we're going to do Harpy and what have you. That's all just getting into constantly building wooden ships rather than doing them and then not doing them for a bit and then doing them again constantly, so that I'm like a well-oiled machine when I get to Indefatigable, and you know, we just can rattle through it and get the pleasure of building it and not finding it too much of a task. You know, it's a serious model for serious model builders, and I want to make sure that that I'm in the right zone for that. So I'm not ready for it yet, and I said that when I bought it, and I said that when I reviewed it. I'm not ready for it, but when I'm ready for it, it's ready for me. So that's where we are with that. So that's an absolute dream model, gotta be built. I want to do, keeping with that subject matter, a decent HMS Victory, and that is not going to be the Caldercraft one because it's just too big. So it's likely to be, currently, I think, the second best is the new Arta Latina one, not the open one where you can see inside, but the closed version of the same kit, the full hull version, which is considerably cheaper. So I want to do that. I think there is some work that needs to be done to further enhance the rigging on that. But yeah, and at 184, that's a manageable size. And still big enough not to lose detail, if you like. So that absolutely have to build my 1200 hood. That's a labour of love build, because my grandfather was there. It was my grandfather's favourite ship that he never served on, and it's one of my favourite ships of all time. Aesthetically beautiful ship. You know, if it was really the pinnacle of aesthetic design for warships, where aesthetics almost overtook function, if you like. Whereas most warships, quite rightly, are functional. That's, you know, they've got a job to do or multiple jobs to do. Hood was very much, oh, and look at me, by the way. And, you know, she toured the world so that the whole world could go, oh, look at me. So Hood has to be done, and I have to do it justice. So, yeah, Bismarck, obviously. Whilst my grandfather's involved with the sinking of the Hood because he's on the destroyer in support of Hood and Prince of Wales, his brother is on the King George V, the flagship, when the Bismarck is sunk. So that's another labour of love build for me. The Bismarck, I've grown up with that story from being very, very young, and I need to do that build justice. And there's lots of issues with the trumpeter kits. The Hood less so. It's probably the best of the 1200s that they've done. But the Bismarck's got all sorts of hull shape issues. But I'm going to ignore that, and we'll just build the rest of it a nice job. Bit like we've done with the Scharnhorst. So those are sort of my 4 builds so far. We've got a Titanic now that I must build, because Titanic actually is probably the ship that got me into ships, even before understanding my grandfather's personal history and being in the Navy and stuff. I knew he was in the Navy before I knew about the Titanic, but it didn't trigger anything until I understood the Titanic story, which I came across in the library at my primary school when I was 8 or 9. So that's where my love of ships really comes from. So Titanic, building a decent Titanic has always been on there because I was building models before I got a love of ships, if that makes sense. Even building model ships before I had a love of ships, because you know at that age you're buying what's given you. So there we go. We've got Indefatigable, we've got Hood, we've got Bismarck, we've got Victory, we've got Titanic. Oh, but I've also always wanted to build a model of Surprise since the film, and we've got that coming along soon. So that's 6 dream builds I must build, you know. And when you start thinking about you've got a 10-year window, I think it starts closing up. So it's a really interesting thought process. And that's been playing in my mind for a week. And I was just wondering what everybody else's, you know, what are your must build kits? And if you think about what are your must build kits that you must build, have you got time for that? You know, around your day job and everything else, and you know, nobody knows how much time you've got. You know, in some senses, but do you make enough time to be able to do what you want to do? It's an interesting thought process, isn't it? And if I apply that logic to what I've just done with my stash and go, right, okay, these are my must build kits. Everything else is superfluous and we could get rid of. Yeah. So I've got kits that I really want to build, and we've named now 6 of them, but also the Mary Rose. Absolutely love that ship, love the history around it, love visiting the museum. I've got the Caldercraft kit, really want to build that. It's not a particularly complicated kit to build, although it's older in terms of its design, so you've got a bit more work to do than you might do on a more modern kit, but you know, it's still sort of a medium skill kit. So where do we fit that in our build program? So yeah, that thought process has been made me think about what I want to do going forward and what is going to be happening on this channel going forward and all of that sort of stuff. Now, all of my dream kits there that we mentioned are ships, but I love building aircraft as well, and I love building sci-fi, and you know, every now and then I have a real burning need to do a truck. So you can't say, right, I'm just going to build these dream models forever, because you can have moments like I've been going through the last few weeks where your mojo's just not where you need it to be, and you can't do it, and you need something lighter, and you need something very different. So I could never build just ships, and I never could. So then that gets me onto, well, you know, in the world of aircraft, what are my dream aircraft? Well, Vulcan Bomber's one of them for me. I grew up right next to Woodford Aerodrome, and they used to have air shows every year, and the Vulcan was there regularly. I saw it flew close up to it flying. I've been on board one. There was one parked to Woodford when I worked there, you know, that was being preserved. So that's a definite. Lancaster Bomber, I've not built one since I was a kid. I've got the Airfix one. I'd like to do it. That's the Dam Busters one. I'd like to do that justice. So that's a kit that I've got to build. I've got the Airfix 124 Spitfire. That's an absolute definite. I've always wanted to do justice to a really good kit of the Spitfire, and I think that's probably one of the best ones out there. Then I also like the 109, and I've got the Zukimura one, so that becomes would really like to build. Slightly different word in here. It's not dream kits. It's really want to build. It's a step down, yeah, because it's not a ship. It's not a ship. So we've got that. We've got the Focke-Wulf. I'd also Tsukimura would like to build that. I've got the I'm going to forget what it's called, the Corsair, the Tamiya Corsair with loads of aftermarket. You know, I really want to build that. I've got the Tamiya, the big Tamiya Mosquito started. Really want to finish that. So there's some aircraft in there. I've got other aircraft kits as well, but you know, none of those are really as important as the ones I've just listed. But if you said to me, right, you're only going to build one aircraft kit, what's it going to be? It'd actually be that little Dora Wings Delta II, because I think that's one of the most important aircraft ever to come out of the United Kingdom. And so I need to build it. And I used to work at Fairey in Stockport, which, although it wasn't the aviation part, it was part of that group once upon a time. And so, you know, they used to build aircraft there. So the Swordfish were built there, for example. So, yeah, that's one I'd have to build. So if I was doing aircraft, what's your dream kit? What's your I must build kit? It would be that little Dora Wings. Interesting, isn't it? It's not the big fancy one. It's not the big 124 Spitfire. It's just that subject, because that's the main thing. I think it's probably the largest scale you can get of that 172. So yeah, we've got that to do. So if I think about vehicles, there's probably nothing in there that I go, oh, that's an absolute dream. I've got to build. There isn't a lorry that I'd really desperately want to build. I build it out of interest or doing something different. I've got a Leyland Retriever, and when I was chucking stuff over to sell, that was in my hands, and I went, and it didn't go. I did have a plan once upon a time to actually build it, because I live right next to Leyland. I live on the map. I live in a place called Claytonley Woods, which is right next to Leyland, and right next to Chorley. Keep those on. So I've lived here over 10 years now, and you know, I've got a bit of a fascination with Leyland trucks after visiting the museum and stuff. So yeah, I'd very much like to do something that was came out of Leyland. So I've got this Leyland Retriever, but I did have a plan of painting it and doing it in model kit stuff colours a couple of years ago. Not got to it yet. You know, I was gonna put model kit stuff down it in decals and all that sort of stuff, but never got a chance to do it yet. We might do still, but anyway. So you know, maybe truck wise, I'd go Leyland Retriever, but I've always wanted to build the Scammell tank transporter, and I've got the Famo tank transporter, which I absolutely love, with its big trailer, and that was a 50th birthday present. So if you said to me, right, you can only build one vehicle, it would probably be the German Famo tank transporter, to be honest. But if you said I could build two, then the Leyland truck would be in there. So interesting. Sci-fi, now that's quite interesting. I don't build sci-fi very much, but as everyone watching this should by now know, I have an absolute love of Space 1999. It's the start of everything sci-fi. Without that, literally, honestly, you wouldn't have Star Wars. And I don't mean, well, because that came before Star Wars and then Star Wars got inspired. George Lucas actually went to them filming Space 1999 to learn how to do his space shots. I think 2001, A Space Oddity was the film that made him believe he could actually do a sci-fi movie and do it the way he imagined and envisaged. But he wasn't able to do Star Wars until he'd learnt from Space 1999 how to do it. So that very first opening scene in the very first Star Wars 1977 would never have happened without Jerry Anderson and Space 1999. Just imagine what the world would be like if we'd never had Space 1999. No Star Wars, none of all those spin-offs. You know, where would Disney be? It'd be, you know, it'd be doing live remakes of old movies and not much else. So the whole world would be different without Space 1999. So therefore, from a sci-fi building an eagle is the dream. And we'll be doing that very, very soon. We'll be doing that this year. So there you go. That's sort of my dream builds. I do have a plan, coming back to the conversation right at the start with HMS Anthony. I do have a plan, and there is a model boat company that makes radio controlled model boats based in the UK, and they do a D-class destroyer from the same period, and fundamentally the only real difference between the A-class and the D-class is hull length. So it would need a slight extension of the hull to make it accurate. So I could get the plans of HMS Anthony, which I was told by Chris they're usually 148 now, whereas when I was speaking to them, 30 years ago, they would print off the full thing and it'd be 7 foot long. So now I get it in 148 scale, but so I'd have to scale it up because the model is larger than that. So is that right? I think it's larger than that. I'm not sure. But it's a big old model, fiberglass hull, obviously because it's radio control, and then the rest of it's all built up from plastic card. So that's my plan. If no one brings an Anthony out, and it's not likely that they will, we will do that. So yeah, that's my plan. Those are the kits that I must build. You will see all of these get built on this channel. So whilst there's air in my lungs, I'll be planning to build those kits and other bits and pieces around it. But now, what I'd like you to do is two things. First thing is, just under this video, you'll see one of these. Hit it. Hit it. You should have already done it by now, but if you haven't, do that. Hit it, because that helps other people find the channel. And we can share the love. The next thing I want you to do is go down into the comments and tell me if you only had time to build 1-2 kits, what would it be? Would it be something that you're going to scratch build because it doesn't exist? Or would it be something that's already in your stash and you're just waiting for the moment? Or would it be something that you're waiting for or that you need to buy? I'm really interested to know, what are everyone's idea of the dream kit? If you're only going to build a couple of kits, what would those 2 kits be? You've got my couple of kits plus some. It's so difficult to say, you know, if you only could build one of them, which one would it be? Don't know. Indefatigable. But yeah, I'm really interested. What are people's dream kits? It'd be really nice if everyone went, yeah, we all want to build the HMS Surprise, because then we can have a really nice group build next year. But yeah, tell me, what is it that what is your dream kit? And you know, do you think you'll ever do it? So in the comments, let us know, and don't forget the like. Okay, I think that is it for this week. That is Table Talk done. We've covered a lot of ground. Next week, should be able to show you what's been happening on Scharnhorst, more progress on Eleanor, and more progress on the Junkers. So until I next see you, have a great week. I hope you've find time for your modelling, find some me time. It's really important for your mental health, and it's really important for working your way through your stash. Till next time, bye for now.